And good morning. Welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Apologize for being a little bit late today. I think my network here at the office is not real keen on this weather or something along those lines. It took me a while to make sure that I could go live with you guys this morning. Please remember that if you ever miss these shows, we do post them online, www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. There's audio and video versions. They are free. You can roll with them as much as you like. So if you ever miss the show and want to catch back up, we post them all there. That is, again, on our website. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube once a week in print on Thursdays, and, of course, on that aforementioned website. Getting into your traffic this morning, it's a lot worse in Ascension Parish than it is in Livingston Parish. Normal delays in Livingston. Traffic backed up just past Pete's Highway on I-12 westbound. Looking at delays on 16 as well as Hatchell Lane, dealing with Denham Springs Elementary, junior high, and high school traffic. Traffic delays on 190 actually in front of Walker High School. Some delays on Burgess as folks are heading towards 447. Not a whole lot of delays on North 447 and Arnold Road. I guess some people either decided to start leaving later, going a different direction. Not really sure about that. There are some delays on 449, so that may be what's going on there. Also, some minor delays on 64 heading into Central. No delays as of right now on 190 4-H Club Road and River Road where they come together in western Denham Springs. It is currently 64 degrees. 73 is your high today. It is going to be nasty all day. We're going to be running with a story later this morning. Expect some flash flooding as this weather intensifies later in the morning. We're going to get anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of rain. We all know how that goes. Thankfully, this looks more like a prolonged rain, not some of those just immediate showers we got over the summer that just dropped a whole bunch of rain on the area really quick. This looks more like, your normal winter storm. It's going to rain about 4 to 6 inches over the course of the day. We'll be interested to see where that pushes the river stages later on, probably tomorrow, when that effect comes through. Looking at 67 is your high tomorrow, 51 overnight. Going to stay in the high 60s, low 70s, and the 50s at night for a while. And then we're going to get some more rain next Wednesday, and then it's going to get down into the 40s. So it's starting to get cool here. Not entirely sure. We're still in October. Usually it gets warmer again in November. We'll see how long this cold weather lasts. So yesterday, District Attorney Scott Perilou announced that he would be recusing himself from the proceedings involving the Perkins couple, who is being charged with, among other things, 60 counts of child pornography. He was once a lieutenant with the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, and she was a teacher at Westside Junior High in Walker. He citing, personal interest in the case, he has decided, that would be Mr. Scott Perilou, has decided to recuse himself. The two will be facing hearings next week based on Article 313 or 313, however you want to say that. That is Gwynn's Law. And the reason it is put in place is because there was a couple from Lafayette. It was a daughter and a wife who were threatened by the husband. He was put in jail on domestic violence charges. His bond was set, and he bonded out and then promptly killed his wife and his daughter and then killed himself. What's going on here is the law that they passed is anytime someone is put in jail under the auspices of domestic violence, they must face there is no bail until they face a 313 hearing. Within the 313 hearing, they're going to analyze, previous court records against them, police records, any affidavits filed against them, any complaints, to see if they are a danger, if they are given bail and happen to get out. So we will see on Monday for her, for Miss Cynthia, and on Wednesday for Dennis. Their hearings will be those 2 days. We'll see if they are given bail at all, or if they'll have to stay in the Livingston Parish Detention Center until trial. So that's coming up next week on Monday and Wednesday. So keep an eye on that. Again, we will. I'm not going to talk a lot about it today. Talked about it yesterday. The bicycle pedestrian master plan for Denham Springs has kind of come together. They're still waiting for a meeting with the city of Denham Springs. We're going to be sitting down this afternoon, to do a podcast on that, talk a little bit about it, and sort of the process of pulling it all together. And it will be interesting to see, what sort of opportunities come up for the city to pull those some of the projects they come up with into the light. So we will see. Last night, The parish council met, was an interesting meeting. They went ahead and jumped forward into the Premier Concrete issue. The Premier Concrete plat was approved by the parish council by a 6-2 vote. John Wascom was absent. Mr. Gary Frog Talbert and Mr. Maurice Scooter Keene for those of you who know him, voted against it, while everyone else, minus John Wascom, voted for it. The complaint from Mr. Talbert, who had gone to the planning meeting earlier in the month, was that there was no paved roads to get in, no parking lot, and that the fence was not technically covering the entire development. According to engineer Chad Bacchus of Fort and Tablada, who took the lead on the plat and the plan, he said that they had not requested parking and that they had not requested public entrance, so that the law that states they must have a hardened surface did not apply. He also said that the fence combined with the tree line was enough to meet ordinance standards. So the parish council moved on from that. So it would appear that that situation has passed. As far as the rest of the meeting, there were some folks from a group called AIM, relatively new, not entirely sure who they are. Accountability and Integrity Movement, I think is the anagram there. And it came up and discussed with the parish council two different things. One is that they requested that they dismantle the master plan committee, although the committee does seem to be doing good work and they don't get paid, and they're doing a lot of things currently with the economic corridor and the priority road list for the economic corridor and how they can make travel in that area a little bit better. So it will be interesting to see. The parish council basically responded, no, we're not going to do that. The second issue they had was with waivers being provided for 4 different individuals, 2 of which were denied, to apply subsurface drainage in a subdivision or neighborhood where subsurface drainage was not implemented when the subdivision or neighborhood was created. In one case in Walker, Mr. Tracy Girlinghouse said that the gentleman had subsurface drainage at his neighbors, both neighbors, and what was happening was that water was just pooling in his ditch. So the addition of subsurface drainage there will just make that all regular. One of the things they said is that you should be able to have ordinances that don't require waivers, to which the parish council argued that would be impossible, because you have certain situations like the one in Walker where there's not uniformity already. So in order to be able to make it uniform, you have to provide a waiver. Kind of an interesting situation, but it's hard to create one-size-fits-all laws, especially in Livingston Parish, where land and development is all just so different all across the parish. So it's they provided 2 waivers, one for a person in Walker, 2 folks were in Walker, one was south of the interstate, one north of the interstate, and then the 2 in Watson were denied under the question of whether or not they'll create more flooding. So will be interesting to see what comes of that. If those 2 folks who are requesting subsurface drainage come back to the council looking for that waiver after the reason they were denied is because there was no engineering study. So it will be interesting to see if they come back. Also, a couple of roads were pushed to the top of the road priority program. One was McHugh in French Settlement. For those of you who live in French Settlement, you know that it kind of curves and comes out here, and there's some businesses that are in the curve, which is right next to where you try to get on 16. There's a gravel road before you hit the curve that belongs to the parish now. So it's being asked that be paved and turned into an exit only, so that if you come over here through the curve, you're taking a right, you're getting out of there. If you go down there, what would be the gravel road that would be resurfaced, you can take a left. So they're trying to clean up some of that area. Apparently there's a lot of traffic accidents there. And that would be in District 6. It's currently Jeff Averett's seat. There is a runoff for it between Gerald McMorris and Derek Babcock. The second road is Cheryl Road in Watson. Some of you might have known it from the dirt fill issue. Huge mounds of dirt on 6 feet worth of dirt under all these houses on Cheryl Drive, combined with an already substandard road. The rate of water hitting that road has caused it to deteriorate at a very quick rate. So they're going to be interested in getting that resurfaced as soon as possible and raised, because currently the catch basins are above the road. And I'm sorry for laughing. It's just, it's a poor design. It needs to be fixed. So they've moved that to the top of the road program priority for next year. Talking about a groundbreaking yesterday, Denham Springs Elementary did host their groundbreaking at what was their old site. They're now at a temporary site here on Hatchell Lane. They will be moving back begin to move back in March of 2021 with the hopes of getting kids started at their new school for the 2021-2022 school year. Joe Murphy, who's worked a lot with engineers, other schools, FEMA, said that this was just sort of the beginning of the end, and he owed a debt of gratitude to a lot of people. And Miss Gail DeLee, who is the principal of Denham Springs Elementary, she said you gain a little perspective from things like this. You start to learn how to let things roll off the shoulders and move forward, and you're just not scared of anything. And she complimented the resilience of her staff, who all just said, we're gonna do what it takes, and the kids who just kept coming to school and kept doing what they needed to do. So again, that school should be ready in about 18 months. Mr. John Blunt of Blunt Contractors was awarded the contract after Mr. Jim Zeiler did the architecture. Total cost of about $17 million. Now remember, this is not a cost to the school board. This is FEMA reimbursed after they told them that these were substantially damaged. What that meant is that over 50% of the value of the building was damaged, so it has to be demolished and rebuilt. Now, you can't just rebuild the same school there because of, building codes and that sort of thing. That building has been there since the 1950s, and of course, building codes have changed about 10 times since then. So the school board, and specifically the Denham Springs school board members and the administration, said, well, let's make lemonade out of lemons and let's get a new school there. So there is a cost match. It's still working on that figure. It'll be interesting to see where that ends up. I'm not entirely sure what their FEMA share is. I'm talking to the superintendent today about some of that stuff. Also, our feature next week is going to be about school funding. There's a lot of folks on Facebook who are either not sure how it works or insist that, for instance, folks in Springfield believe that their money is being used to build this school in Denham Springs, and it's not exactly how that works. So we're going to be talking about that in a podcast next week. It'll also be the feature in the paper, and we'll have all the financial data for you and how it flows in next Thursday's paper. So be on the lookout for that. Had a little football last night. As you can see, it's pretty dreary outside. It's kind of nasty. Central did not want to move the game, so they will still play Walker tonight at Central for a share of the district title. Both teams are currently walking in undefeated in district and have some big wins under their belt. So that should be a pretty intense matchup. Springfield finally started their district slate and absolutely lambasted Pope John Paul 51-0. They've been a long journey for them. They've got things are starting to click, so it looks like they're going to have a pretty successful venture through district. Only 2 games left. Please remember that you can always watch our football show at www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We also distribute that on any podcast platform that you might use, including Apple, Google, and Spotify. And Albany, unfortunately, fell to Laranja, kept it close, had it close until the fourth quarter, and then Laranja busted it open with 2 scores and put the game away. A tough district, that 3A district. A lot of folks losing by 1, keeping it close late. We know that Albany had the controversial ending at Sumner last week. That's a good district, so they got a lot of good competition coming up there. And of course, they've got 2 weeks left of district as well. Live Oak came down and took care of business against Denham Springs. It was 37-7. Denham got on the board late, but in just about every facet, Live Oak handled the situation well. Not looking so good for Denham. Live Oak needed the win to kind of get back on course, having lost 2 in a row. Once a close loss to Zachary, and then again, tough loss to Walker. Walker's trending up as well, so they needed that boost. Last but certainly not least, the Hungarian community has come together for their annual Harvest Festival and dance celebration. And, it's just such an interesting thing that we have here in Livingston Parish. There's a Hungarian community. If you don't know where they are, they're basically right between the Springfield municipal area and the Albany municipal area. There's a museum over there, and every year they have a annual dance celebration. It's a lot of fun. I recommend one year you go check it out. They're very welcoming, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a big celebration. Let me see if Mr. Gray. This was just a few weeks ago. It's usually at one of their. Here you go. The museum is open. It's a 112-year-old building. It's open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesday, Friday, and the second Saturday of each month. It's at 27455 LA Highway 43. So go check out the museum. That's also where that celebration is. So one last time around with your traffic before we let you go today. I'm sure you're ready to get started with your Friday. And traffic's starting to back up on I-12 westbound. It's still just past Pete's Highway in terms of where the end of the line is, but delays have stretched now all the way to Millerville Road. Heavy delays on 16 heading down into the Denham Springs area. Really heavy delays on Hatchell Lane as folks are still trying to get their kids dropped off. Minor delays in Watson. Folks starting to filter out of there. Minor delays on 447 for the same reason. And it looks like some delays are starting to stack up at Jubin and 190, but not as bad as normal. 64 still looks like your best bet to get into Baton Rouge if you're just heading into Central. There's minor delays there. Starting to get some delays at 190 4H Club Road and River Road. So if you're just leaving home or you're going to be leaving home soon, you're going to hit some delays either way. But right now it's looking like 190 or 64 in Central is your best way to get into Baton Rouge. Reminder about your weather. There is a flash flood warning today. Weather is supposed to intensify later in the morning. Now it is supposed to be a typical winter storm where we get the rain over a long period of time, not some of those just crazy instant showers we had over the summer. But it currently feels like 64 degrees. 73 is your high today. 67 degrees is your high for tomorrow. 51 the low overnight. It's supposed to stay in that area until about next Wednesday. Then it's going to get even colder. Looking at lows of 45 and 49 on Wednesday and Thursday. So be prepared with a coat. Once again, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you joining us on this Friday for the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. Remember, if you ever miss these shows, you can check them out, www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We have audio and video versions there that you can check out at your leisure. If you just happen to miss these, or if you don't want to watch them live in the morning, you want to check them out when you get into work or something like that, you can check them out there. Of course, the audio version is a little cleaner on that as well as the video. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube once a week in print, and we are also online. Please try to stay dry today. We hope you have a great day. Remember, we will be recording a podcast this afternoon on the Bike Ped Plan. I will be back in the booth Monday for your Monday morning show after the weekend. Go Tigers.